G'day sports fans and welcome to Cricket South Africa's Level 3 umpiring course brought to you by Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. My name is Tom Mukorosi and as usual my batting partner for today will be Abdullah Steenkamp. The format of today's lecture is as follows. I will go through laws 37, 38 and 39. Then Abdullah will take us through Law 41, Unfair Play. When Abdullah is done, I will take you through the answers of all the quiz questions that we have posed throughout the presentation. And then I am going to ask you 14 example questions which are based on the theory that we have covered from lecture number 3, 4, and 5. So please be ready to answer the questions. It's going to be another interactive session, and you answering these questions is preparing you for the Cricket South Africa Level 3 exam. The more you attempt, the better you will be at the exam. So starting off with Law 37, Obstructing the Field. We have got an animation video to take us through this law.
Obstructing the field. A batsman is out obstructing the field if he or she willfully attempts to obstruct or distract the fielding side by word or action. Like this, for example. Thank you, Tommy. In particular, it is considered to be obstruction if, while the ball is in play and after the striker has played the ball, either batsman willfully strikes the ball with a hand not holding the bat or any other part of his or her person, or with the bat. The exception to this is when the batsman is attempting to defend his or her wicket. The batsman may do this with the bat or any part of his or her person, except with a hand not holding the bat. If the batsman uses such a hand, he or she will be out obstructing the field. The handled the ball law no longer exists, with such incidents now covered by obstructing the field instead. The obstruction has to be willful. Accidental obstruction, or obstruction caused by trying to avoid injury, does not count, and the decision on that is down to the umpire. It's worth noting that if a catch is obstructed, it is the striker who is out, even if it was the non-striker who caused the obstruction. Mind you, it's not always an easy decision. Here, the batsman deliberately crosses out of the legal running area in order to attempt to obstruct a throw. There is no other reason why the batsman should be running across the pitch. What looked an accident was, in fact, an illegal incident. To avoid any possible confusion, read Law 37 in black and white in the blue book.
Are there any runs scored when a batter is out obstructing the field? The law tells us that when either batter is dismissed obstructing the field, unless the obstruction prevents a catch from being made, then yes, runs completed by the batters before the offence shall be scored, together with any runs awarded for penalties to either side. So if a batter was out obstructing the field and the obstruction occurred during the third run, so they had completed 2 runs, then the 2 runs that were completed will stand, but obviously the third run will not stand. If the obstruction prevents a catch from being made, then runs completed by the batters shall not be scored. So let's look at an example to illustrate this point. Striker hits the ball high up in the air. They complete the first run. They turn for the second run. The ball is still up in the air and the bowler is getting underneath the ball to take the catch. and the striker decides that they will bump the bowler out of the way and the bowler drops the catch, there is an appeal for obstructing the field from the fielding side, and the striker is given out obstructing the field. In that scenario, because the obstruction prevented a catch from being taken, then the runs will not count, even the one completed before the obstruction. But of course, any penalties awarded to either side shall stand. The bowler does not get credit for a dismissal of obstructing the field. Now we've seen the theory, let's put it into practice. This is quiz question 37 because it refers to law 37. So please type into the chat box at the end of the video, is Wade out obstructing the field or is he not out obstructing the field?
Oh, there's bat into helmet, Butler, Wood. Whoa. Well, top edge on the lid. So, Junior, are you saying that the an umpire, third umpire, so the third umpire can possibly make a ruling without an appeal? Gee, that's a good question. Not looking like he's focusing totally on just getting back there, does it? I can't say I know what Matt Wade was thinking, but when that arm went out there,
I think originally he was a bit disorientated, wasn't sure where the ball was. He was playing a bit of AFL.
On appeal, would Matthew Wade be out obstructing the field or not out obstructing the field? Please type your answer into the chat box now. 37 out or 37 not out. I will go through the answers of all the video quiz questions after Abdullah has presented law 41. Next law that I'm covering, law 38, run out. When is a batter out run out? Law tells us that either batter is out run out if at any time while the ball is in play, he or she is out of his or her ground and his or her wicket is fairly put down by the action of a fielder. That's very important. There needs to be intervention by a member of the fielding side to affect a run out. And this action by a fielder can include contact with a helmet worn by a fielder or a wicketkeeper. In the playing conditions in England, both professional cricket and recreational cricket, if a ball makes contact with a helmet that is worn by any player on the field, whether it's a wicketkeeper, whether it's a fielder, whether it's a batter, the ball automatically becomes dead. But that is not the case for the laws of cricket. In the laws of cricket, as long as we do not call and signal dead ball for a serious injury, then the ball stays alive when it makes contact with a helmet worn by a fielder or a wicketkeeper. A run out can be affected even though no ball has been called and whether or not a run is being attempted. That's also an important point to remember for our example questions that are coming up later in the lecture. We've read when a batter is out, not out. Let us now learn when a batter will be not out, run out. Batter is not out, run out if he or she has been within his or her ground and has subsequently left it to avoid injury when the wicket is put down. A batter is not out run out if the ball has not subsequently touched a fielder after the bowler has entered the delivery stride before the wicket is put down. I'll take you back to my second ever 4-day franchise match here in South Africa. It was in early 2017. It was the home side, the Warriors versus the Dolphins from Durban. And the match was in Gqeberha, formerly known as Port Elizabeth. The striker was Mo Fali, and he hit the ball straight down the wicket, and it went towards his non-striker, Lisiba Ngwepe. Lisiba Ngwepe was out of his crease, backing up. The ball hit the bat of Lisiba Ngwepe and then went on to hit the stumps at the non-striker's end, with the non-striker Lisiba Ngwepe out of his ground. There was an appeal, and in my panic, being only my fourth 4-day game, I gave Lisiba Ngwepe run out. I heard a scratch on my radio from my partner, Johan Kluter, former international umpire. He asked me to come together with him, and he asked me, did the bowler get a touch on the ball before it went on to hit the bat of the non-striker and then hit the stumps? I said, no, the bowler was nowhere close to the ball. So, of course, I had to reverse my decision because there was no contact with any member of the fielding side before the wicket was put down and after the bowler had entered his or her delivery stride. Therefore, the non-striker could not be run out. So important to know our laws so that under pressure, we can give the right decisions. A batter is also not out if he or she is out stumped. And if no ball has been called and the striker is out of his or her ground, not attempting a run, and the wicket is fairly put down by the wicket keeper without the intervention of any other fielder. Okay, so effectively, what the law is telling us here is if a no ball is called and the wicket keeper stumps out the striker who is not attempting a run, the striker will not be out stumped because you cannot be out stumped off a no ball. And also the striker is protected from being run out because they were not attempting a run, and this was a no ball, and the wicket was fairly put down by the wicket keeper without any other member of the fielding side touching the ball. Okay, another one to remember for our example questions coming later. If there was another member of the fielding side who touched the ball before the wicketkeeper put the stumps down, even if there was a no ball, even if the batter was not attempting a run, then they will be run out. Why? Because there was intervention by another member of the fielding side, not just the wicketkeeper. Okay. So the striker will be saved only if it is the wicketkeeper involved and there is a no ball. And of course, if the striker was not attempting a run. Now let's look at the non-striker leaving his or her ground early. Is the bowler allowed to run the non-striker out? Yes, I'm sure we have all seen it before. It is commonly referred to as a man-cat dismissal. And it is much better and easier to understand by watching the animation video rather than reading through that long, complicated sentence. So let's watch the animation video and learn more about how a non-striker can be run out by the bowler.
Running out the non-striker. Running out the non-striker occurs when a bowler runs out a batsman who has strayed too early out of the popping crease by removing the bails. It is a much debated form of dismissal, with some suggesting that a warning should be given. However, leaving his or her ground early is an attempt by the non-striker to gain an unfair advantage, and it puts a batsman at risk of getting out. The law doesn't require the bowler to give a warning, and he or she is entitled to run out the non-striker until the moment when he or she would normally have been expected to release the ball, in which case it's perfectly fair for the bowler to run the non-striker out. For more detail on this perfectly legal practice, see Law 4116 in the MCC's The Laws of Cricket.
So that's the theory behind that law. Let's look at two practical examples. One is the correct execution of the bowler running out the non-striker, and the next one is an incorrect example of the bowler attempting to run out the non-striker. Let's have a look at the first one.
So sure. I know it's in the laws of the game.
I'm ready with my decision for the big screen.
The third umpire gave the non-striker run out, and that was a correct decision. Some people wonder why the bowler is allowed to go past the popping crease before turning back and running the non-striker out. The playing conditions of the International Cricket Council stipulate that the bowler should have entered his or her delivery stride before passing the popping crease, and they will still be able to run out the non-striker as long as they do not reach their expected point of release by means of the arm. Okay, so yes, Deepti Sharma had got to the expected point of release by means of her feet, but that is not what the law talks about. The law talks about the expected point of release by the arm or the hand. She did not go through her bowling action with her arms. Therefore, the window period for her running out the non-striker was still open, and she did so, and the non-striker was out of her ground when the wicket was fairly put down. That is why this is the correct execution of running out of the non-striker, and the non-striker was correctly given run out. No need for a warning from the fielding side. And in fact, you might have noticed when I played the animation video that it used to be under Law 41 unfair play, but the lawmakers moved this law to Law 38 run out to put the onus on the non-strikers to stay in their crease until the ball has left the bowler's hand. So therefore, with that not being considered unfair play anymore, it never used to require a warning, and now it definitely doesn't require a warning. However, good umpiring practice in recreational cricket, we encourage our umpires, and in club cricket, to ask the captain of the fielding side if they wish to go ahead with the appeal, and then we will come together as two umpires just to make sure, because the striker's end umpire has the best view of whether the bowler has reached his or her expected point of delivery in terms of the arm before running out or putting the wicket down. If they have gone past or reached the expected point of delivery, then bowlers and umpire will call and signal dead ball, and the non-striker will be not out. But if, as in Deepti Sharma's case, they have not gone past the expected point of release, then they will be given out. On appeal, run out. Right, let's look at the next example. This is an incorrect execution of an attempt to run out the non-striker by the bowler.
Third umpire director, got a review for run out. We want to check whether the bowler's arm has gone past the vertical. That's satisfied the law for run out at the bowler's end.
Yep, this is critical because that's actually correct. Yep. So once the back foot is where most people
roll it through, roll it through, roll it through, roll it through, roll it through further. Now his arm's gone past the vertical, therefore not out. Repeat. Decision for the big screen will be not out.
Tell you what, that's Sean Craig in the hot seat, and that's a very interesting decision. The right call from the umpire. Yep. Well,
So Australian umpires use the terminology past the vertical. That is to explain that Adam Zamper's bowling arm had gone past the expected point of delivery. Therefore, the window period for running out of the non-striker had closed by the time he put the wicket down. Therefore, the non-striker in this example was not out, run out. When does the window period for running out the non-striker open? It opens as early as the ball comes into play. So when the bowler starts his or her run up, that is when they can start to, or they can attempt to run the non-striker out, and it closes when the bowler reaches his or her delivery stride, expected point of release in respect to the positioning of the arm. Or it closes if the bowler has not entered his or her delivery stride when they pass the popping crease. Okay. Good. The last law that I'm looking at before I hand over to Abdullah is Law 39, Stumped. We've got another animation video to take us through this law.
Stumped. All batsmen fear being stumped, and all wicket-keepers dream of stumping batsmen. So let's be clear about the law. The only player who can stump a batsman is this fellow, the wicket-keeper. A stumping can take place provided that the ball is not a no ball. You can be stumped off a wide, however. Here, for example, the batsman has moved out of his or her ground to play the ball, but has missed it and has not attempted a run. The wicket is fairly put down by the wicket-keeper without the intervention of another fielder. When all these conditions are met, the batsman will find that he or she has indeed been stumped. It's also okay for the ball to rebound onto the stumps of any part of the wicket-keeper, including his or her protective equipment or helmet. If it is a no ball, the batsman will not be out-stumped and is also protected from being run out, as long as he or she is not attempting a run. Don't be stumped about stumping. Get a copy of the Blue Book and study Law 39.
We've learned the theory. Now let's put it into practice on video quiz question 39. Please watch the video and give us your decision. Is the striker out stumped or is the striker not out stumped? Ridiman Saha.
Fair. There's a referral for a stumping. First up, front foot, no ball, check, please.
Stand by hog 2 and wipe to hog 2.
It's a fair delivery.
Okay. The very
I am ready with the decision. I am ready for the decision.
and what is it?
The decision is out. I repeat, out.
Stand by RF2.
Okay, please type your answer into the chat box for quiz question 39. And I will go through the answers to all of the quiz question, mine and Abdullah's, once Abdullah has presented Law 41.
So Law 41 deals with unfair play. There are 16 subsections under Law 41. I'm not going to cover all of those 16 subsections. I'm just going to cover a few of them. And I want to highlight that under Law 41, under unfair play, I'm going to cover, and in the exam, you need to answer how the law deals with unfair play. There are some playing conditions for different competitions where the playing conditions slightly differ to how the law deals with unfair play, but those are playing conditions for those specific competitions. But what I'm covering tonight is how the law deals with unfair play, and for the purpose of the exam, please answer the question as per the laws of cricket. So first subsection that I'm going to cover is what happens if there was a willful or deliberate, it can be a distraction, deception, or an obstruction of either of the batters by any of the fielders after the ball was delivered. So the law guides us, and firstly the law tells us any fielder can cause this distraction, deception, or obstruction, but the first and very important thing that needs to be determined is, was it a willful or a deliberate attempt by any of the fielders to cause this distraction, deception, or obstruction? It's for you, the umpires, to decide. And good umpiring technique is when this happens, please get together, discuss this together, and together decide whether any of the fielders deliberately or willfully attempt. And this willful attempt by any of the fielders, it can be by a word, one of the fielders saying something to distract or deceive or obstruct the batters, or it can be an action by any of the fielders, again a willful action. The bowler deliberately puts out a foot and trips the striker while the striker was turning for, let's say, the second run. So it needs to be willful. Get together, discuss this, and if both is in agreement, yes, this was deliberate, it was a willful attempt, and it can be by word or action, you need to, this is unfair according to the law, and we'll now see what the punishment is according to the law. Punishment is as follows. So as soon as this happens, let's say an example, as soon as the bowler puts out a foot and trips the striker. As soon as that happens, call and signal dead ball. Neither batter to be dismissed from this delivery. Any type of the dismissal not to be allowed from this delivery. 5 penalty runs will be awarded to the batting side. Ball not to count as one for the over. More punishment. Any runs completed before the offence to be scored. And if there were any penalty runs, like let's say there was a no ball, that also to count. And additionally, and this is the only place in the law book where you will find where the law tells us that the run that the batters were busy with, and in my example where the bowler trips the striker, and let's say they were busy with the second run. So while they're busy with the second run, whether the batters crossed in that second run or not, when the bowler tripped the striker, that run also to count. Only place in the law book that you'll find this. So completed runs to count, including the run they're busy with, and under this subsection of Law 41, irrelevant whether they cross or not, that run also to count. And then also, batters at the wicket, they will get together and they can decide who they think should face the next delivery. Also, the only place in the law that you'll find this where a batter can actually choose who faces the next delivery. And then lastly, inform everyone, both captains, everyone needs to be informed, and this must be reported to the governing body of cricket for this particular competition. So you can see there is a very stiff penalty if there was a willful or deliberate attempt by any of the fielders, any of the 11 fielders, and this willful attempt can be by word or action, and if they try to distract, obstruct, or deceive either of the batters, we've just gone through the punishment. My first question for this evening, have a look at the video. Pay particular attention to the wicket keeper and tell me, look at what the wicket keeper did and tell me, are you happy with the stumping? Or do you think the action by this keeper is unfair and penalty runs needs to be awarded to the batting side for a deliberate deception by the keeper? And in the chat box, put course question 41.5 and give me your answer. I'll play it again. Again, focus on the keeper and just see what the keeper did. So in the chat box, out stumped or deliberate deception by the keeper. Next subsection under Law 41 that I'm covering, and this covers the bowling of dangerous and unfair non-pitching deliveries, full tosses, some call it beamers. How do we deal with this? So the law first tells us that any delivery which passes or would have passed without pitching or on the full above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease is unfair. And the law tells us either umpire to immediately call and signal no ball if this happens. The strikers in umpires is in the best position to call this because the strikers in umpire do have a side-on view, but either umpire can call this. So let's again go over the criteria when it comes to bowling of dangerous and unfair non-pitching or full tosses. The law sees this is unfair, and it first tells us any delivery which either passed or would have passed on the full above waist height. So that's the first thing that you need to take into account. It needs to be above waist height. What is waist height? It's belt height. And of the striker standing upright at the popping crease. So that's your judgment point. Your first judgment is it needs to be above waist height or belt height. Second judgment is you need to judge whether it was above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease. And if yes, the law sees this is unfair and either umpire needs to intervene, even though the striker's end is in the best position, but either umpire can call it, and you need to call and signal no ball because this is unfair. So any full toss above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease, you need to call it. Again, I want to emphasize that your judgment is above waist height and striker standing upright at the popping crease. And lots of players don't know this law because you'll often find batters, let's say the batter do decide to double step or triple step to try to get to the pitch of the ball. So now the batter is, let's say, 2-3 meters outside the popping crease, almost, let's say, halfway down the pitch. And now the ball comes on the full. And let's say the batter now hits it. Lots of batters think, let's say the ball is almost chest height when the batter hit it. Your judgment point is, and the question that you need to ask yourself is, if the batter was standing upright at the popping crease, would the ball have been above waist height? If the answer to that question is yes, you need to call and signal no ball. If the answer to that question is, I don't think the ball would have been above waist height if the batter was standing upright at the popping crease, you will deem that to be a fair delivery. So a lot of batters, they will double step, and let's say it's a spinner bowling and the ball is busy dipping, and yes, when they hit it, the ball was above, let's say about chest height. So yes, the ball was above the waist height when the batter hit it, but where was the batter standing? The batter was double stepping 2-3 meters, outside the crease. So that is not where you judge it. You need to ask yourself the question. And I know it's a difficult call. I know it happens quickly. 99% of games are not televised where you can send it up. So it's a judgment call. You need to make that call quickly, but you need to ask yourself the question. That, in my example, where the batter did double step or triple step, would the ball have been above waist height if the batter was standing upright at the popping crease? If yes, no ball. If no, fair delivery. Lots of players don't know this. So this is why it's important for us as umpires. We need to know this, and we need to make that judgment call. Then also the law goes on further by telling us we also need to make another judgment call. And we need to decide if that delivery was also a dangerous delivery. And we need to take into account whether there was a risk of injury to the striker. I know there's a few points that you need to take into account, but the judgment call that now you need to make is, so your first judgment call is whether it's above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease. So if yes, you need to call and signal no ball. Then there's another judgment call that you need to make, whether that delivery was dangerous or not, whether there was a risk of injury to the striker. And if the answer to that question, yes, there was a risk of injury to the striker, you need to do the following. If it happens the first time, remember, you've already called and signal no ball because let's say it was above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease. So that was your first judgment call. Now your second judgment call is yes, that delivery was dangerous. It would have inflicted injury on the striker. Now the law guides us by telling us you now need to give that bowler a first and final warning for bowling a dangerous delivery above waist height, at the striker. So it happens the first time in the innings, first and final warning. Inform your colleague, inform the captain of the fielding side, inform the batters, bowler. Everyone is now well aware that the bowler has been given a caution for bowling a dangerous non-pitching delivery above waist height, at the striker. So what happens? In the same innings, and the same bowler again bowls a delivery on the full, above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease, and the umpire, also the bowlers and umpire, also deemed that this delivery was a dangerous delivery and would have caused risk to the striker. So remember, this is now a second time in the innings that the bowlers bowled the one above waist height, striker standing upright and dangerous. You've already given the bowler first and a final warning. So yes, you will call and signal no ball because the ball was above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease. But now what we'll do is, because this is now the second time that it's happening, you'll call the captain, the fielding captain, and you'll inform the fielding captain that the bowler to be suspended immediately from bowling. Bowler needs to be removed from the attack because this is now a second instance in the same innings of the bowler bowling a dangerous full toss above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease. You'll explain to the captain, bowler, why that bowler is now suspended and not allowed to bowl again in this innings. So if it was the first innings of, let's say, a test match, that bowler will be suspended for the first innings only. When the second innings starts, the bowler will start with a clean slate again. If this happened, let's say mid-over, let's say that happened the third ball of the over. So now there's still four balls remaining in the over. So now the Lords tell us over now needs to be completed by another bowler. And this bowler should not have bowled the previous over, nor is this bowler allowed to bowl the next over. And again, you'll inform everyone of what happened, what you did, and the law wants us to report this to the exco of the fielding side, as well as the governing body responsible for this particular match. Next subsection under law 41 that I'm covering, and this is the bowling of a deliberate front foot no ball. So it is your opinion as the umpire, and you need to make this call whether you consider that the bowler has bowled a deliberate front foot no ball. Let us go through the punishment, and I'll go into a bit more detail when it comes to this bowling of a deliberate front foot no ball. And I'll use a practical example that happened to me last season. Or was it 2 seasons ago? It was 2 seasons ago in a 4-day match. But we'll get there. Let's first have a look at what the law tells us. When you, the umpire, consider that a bowler has deliberately bowled a front foot no ball. So you'll immediately call and signal no ball. Why? There's no part of the front foot, behind the back edge of the popping crease. And because you now consider this as a deliberate front foot no ball, you will call the captain of the fielding side, call the bowler over, and you will tell the captain, because the bowler bowled a deliberate front foot no ball, this bowler to be removed from the attack. You'll inform your colleague of your action, and this bowler is not allowed to bowl again in this innings. So if it happened in the first innings of, let's say, a test match, and he or she bowled a deliberate front foot no ball, this bowler will be suspended from bowling in the innings. And then the law tells us if it happened mid-over, let's say it happened the fourth ball of the over, so there's still 3 balls left. This over then needs to be completed by another bowler who didn't bowl the previous over, nor is this bowler allowed to bowl the next over. and you will inform everyone, and this must be reported to the governing body. So, bowling of this deliberate front foot no ball. It is your opinion as the umpire. You need to make that judgment call as the bowlers in umpire, and you need to take you need to take context into account. So if you ask yourself the question, why would a bowler bowl a deliberate front foot no ball? I never had, I never took a bowler out of the attack for bowling a deliberate front foot no ball, even though an incident happened to me where the bowler was as far over as this bowler in the pick here on the right. But I'll get to my example later on. And just to explain to you why, context is so important and you need to take it into account. So you, the bowlers in umpire, needs to make that judgment call, whether you going to whether you, in your opinion, it is a deliberate front foot no ball. So why do I say context? Take context into account. So why would a bowler want to bowl a deliberate front foot no ball? Why would a bowler want to be so far over the popping crease? For me, usually, I mean, the pitch is 20.12 meters here in length. And for a bowler, so if it's a fast bowler, if the fast bowler is so far over, that means the delivery will get quicker to the striker. So the nearer you are to the striker, the quicker your ball will get to the striker. So if a fast bowler, let's say there was words between the bowler and the batter. Let's say the batter hit the bowler for 3 sixes in a row. Now there's a bit of words and the bowler not happy, batter's not keeping quiet, batter's saying a few things. So now leading up, and let's say this is the 5th over that this bowler is bowling. So the 4 previous overs, the bowler's front foot was way behind the popping crease, nowhere near a front foot no ball. So for 4 overs, no issue. Now this let's say 4 overs and 3 balls, no issue. But the 3 balls in the bowler's 5th over, the batter has hit the bowler for 3 sixes. But the words, bowler not happy, grumbling, going back to the bowler's mark. So now the 4th ball of the over, this bowler now suddenly goes way over, bowls a short pitch delivery to take the bowler's head off. So now, again, there's context. There was a bit of argy-bargy, 3 sixes in a row. Bowler leading up to this was nowhere near bowling a front foot no ball, and suddenly you are meter and a half over. That's for me enough context to say that that's an example of a bowler bowling a deliberate front foot no ball, and I will then apply the punishment as per the law, call no ball, and I will ask the fielding captain to remove the bowler. Over need to be completed by another bowler, and I will report this bowler to the governing body. So yeah, important context is important, and I'll tell you, and I'll show you another example where context is important. And this happened to me 2 seasons ago. The bowler's name was Dean Forrester. He made his T20I debut against New Zealand earlier this year. But 2 seasons ago, he was still a rookie. He was new to the first-class scene in South Africa. And it was a 4-day provincial game that happened at Newlands. So Dean making his debut at Newlands. Obviously, Dean very young. He came on second change, and I was standing at the Weinberg Inn. So Dean got the nod from the captain. He's going to bowl now. Obviously nervous. First 4-day game, and he was about to bowl his first ball. So now, as he runs in to bowl his first ball, he aborts his first ball. And captain standing at slip asked him, "Oh, Dean, all good?" I say, "Oh, sorry, Cap, I just lost my run up. Let me go back." I'll bowl the first ball now. Okay, no problem. Dejan went back to his mark. Now trying to try a second time now, trying to bowl the first ball of the over. As he's running in, again he aborts the delivery. Captain is saying, Dejan, you're good. Yeah, Cappy. Sorry, lost my run up again. Okay, Dejan going back to his run up again. Third time now, trying to bowl the first ball of the over. And what do you think happened? You're right. He aborted the third delivery. Sorry, let me just go back. He aborted the third delivery, or the third time he's now aborted. Again, losing his run-up. Okay, so now you can see it. Oof, Dejan is now feeling by the heat. Remember, he's a youngster, first game. And now the captain comes running from slip and asked the slip to go stand, asked the mid-off to go stand now in the slips. So the captain is now put his arm around Dejan and now, had a word with Dejan, talking to Dejan. So now Dejan, fourth attempt now, trying to bowl the first ball of the over. So now Dejan runs in, and as he get close to me, I could hear in my ears, when a bowler loses their run-up, where they take that small steps, and Dejan is a medium fast bowler, I could hear in my ear he took small steps, so I knew his run-up was out again. But then what he did was, instead of aborting like he did the previous three deliveries, Dejan delivered the ball. But because his run-up was completely out and he delivered the ball, this is what I saw. Dejan was literally like this pick on the right-hand side. He was literally more than a meter over the line. You know that initially, I got a fright. Usually when you look at the line, you expect the front foot to be, more or less in that vicinity. Suddenly you see a foot being so far over, and it's the first time where I saw a foot so much over. So that initial fright, and then I called Noble. And then the delivery was bowled, and it was like fairly wide out of off stump. Not wide enough to call wide, but it was fairly wide outside off stump. But I mean, anyway, in any case, I called Noble for no part of the foot behind the popping crease. Then as Dejan came back, and I said, Dejan, you know how far over you were? I said, sorry, Umpy, sorry. I lost my run up. And it's already, the fourth attempt, and I didn't want to not deliver the ball. I didn't want the captain to, to have a go at me. So I knew I was over, but I felt the pressure to deliver the ball. So the point I'm trying to make is, context, even though Dejan was as far over as this, but I did not deem that to be a deliberate front foot Noble, because I took context into account. And I just let it go. I just called Noble. The next delivery, Dejan shortened his run up a bit, and he then got through the over. And you've seen from that game, he's just gone from strength to strength, and he's made his debut at international level. So he is a South African or Protea at the moment. So context is important when deciding whether it's deliberate front foot Noble or not. Next subsection under law 41 that I'm covering is, this video is going to just explain in a bit of detail when it comes to damaging the pitch. It's going to handle batters as well as the bowlers. And after this video, I will go into a bit more detail what the narrator is covering. But let's first have a look at the video.
Damaging the pitch. Deliberately damaging the pitch is illegal and can be costly to the guilty player's side. A bowler will be deemed to be causing deliberate damage if the umpire considers that his or her presence on the protected area of the pitch, shown here in red, is without reasonable cause. This can be after delivering the ball, or, if the bowler fails to release the ball, after the completion of the delivery swing and delivery stride. The first offence will receive a caution, the second a final warning, And if the bowler does it again, he or she will be suspended from bowling for the rest of the innings and may well face disciplinary action after the match. For fielders and batsmen, it is the whole pitch that they must not damage, not just the protected area. If any fielder causes deliberate damage to the pitch, he or she will face a similar caution and be reported to the captain. If there is a repeat offence by any fielder during that innings, 5 runs are awarded to the batting side. Finally, if either batsman causes deliberate damage to the pitch, the batsman will be given a first and final warning and told this practice is unfair. This warning will apply through the innings and each incoming batsman will be warned. Should this happen again, the umpire will disallow all runs from that delivery, other than the penalty for a no ball or wide. Furthermore, the umpire will award 5 penalty runs to the fielding side, return the batsmen to their original ends, inform both captains, and the offending player may well face disciplinary action after the match. If you're in any doubt, refer to Law 41 in the Blue Book.
So just to go into a bit more detail, what the narrator just covered in the video, and to also give you a bit of practical application or a bit of player management in terms of how to deal with players damaging the pitch. Let's start with the protected area. So a huge part of our duties as umpires is we need to make sure that we protect the protected area. So we need to protect it from bowlers, even the batters, the striker. We need to make sure that we protect it. So let's first start with, what do you do as an umpire when the bowler runs in the protected area? Let's first start with what the law say and how we need to deal with it. And then I'm going to cover a bit of practical application. So the law tells us, firstly, it's unfair for the bowler to go into the protected area without reasonable cause. If there's no reason for the bowler to go into the protected area, the law says it's unfair. And whether the ball is delivered or not, bowler shouldn't go into the protected area. So what is an example of a reasonable cause? What is an example of a reason why a bowler can go into the protected area? If the bowler, let's say the batter hits a straight drive down the pitch. So now, if the bowler wants to decides to field the ball, to stop the ball from going to the boundary, and needs to dive because the ball was hit straight down the pitch and need to dive in, and by diving, the bowler then goes into the protected area trying to stop the ball. Absolutely no problem with that, the law tells us, because there is a reasonable cause, a reason why the bowler went in there. In my example, bowler tried to stop the ball from going to the boundary. Good cricketing reason, absolutely no issue with that. You won't do anything. Another example, bowler delivers, ball gets hit in the air, it goes straight above the pitch. The bowler then settles under the ball, trying to catch the ball. And in settling under the ball, the bowler then steps into the protected area, trying to catch the ball. And let's say the bowler catches the ball. But now catching the ball, the bowler is smack bang in the middle of the protected area. Is that okay or not? The law says absolutely no problem. There is a reason why the bowler went in there to catch the ball. But if there's no reasonable cause, bowlers should stay out the protected area. So what happens if the bowler, at the first instance, goes into the protected area? This is now the first time that the bowler goes in there. What do you do? So the law tells us, as soon as the ball is dead, you need to give that bowler a caution, because the bowler went into the protected area without a reasonable cause, and the law says this is unfair. And please, you need to inform your colleague of what happened. You also need to inform the fielding captains and the batters. Especially important to inform your colleague because many bowlers will go from the other side later on in the innings. So that's why it's important that your colleague needs to know whether the bowler is on a caution or not. So what happens the first instance? Law tell us caution the bowler, inform everyone. Captain, batters, your colleague. So what happens? In the same innings, the same bowler, doesn't matter now from which end, and as I said, they love switching ends, but if it's in the same innings, and again they go into the protected area without a reasonable cause, you, the umpire, needs to inform this bowler that bowler, this is now your final warning for going into the protected area without a reasonable cause, and this final warning to apply throughout the innings. If this is in the first innings, it will be applicable throughout this first innings. In the second innings, as soon as the second innings starts, the bowler will start with a clean slate again. But in the first innings, the bowler has already been on a caution. You've now given a first and a final warning for going into the protected area. And again, inform everyone, inform your colleague that you've given the bowler a final warning. Inform captains, the captain, fielding captain, and the batters. Bowlers is on the final warning for going into the protected area. So now in the same innings, the same bowler for a third time goes into the protected area. Now what do? Now you'll call the bowler and the captain, and you'll tell the captain, Cappy, this is now the third time the bowler went into the protected area. I've already given a caution and a final warning. Being the third time, please, you need to remove this bowler from the attack. This bowler will not be allowed to bowl again in this innings. Yes, second innings, the bowler can bowl. He or she will start with a clean slate. But in this innings, not allowed to bowl anymore. If there's still balls left in the over then needs to be completed by another bowler. And this bowler should not have bowled the previous over, nor is the bowler allowed to bowl the next over. And then again, inform everyone what has happened, and you need to report this to the governing body. So to recap, as per the laws of cricket, if bowlers ran into the protected area, first time it happens, you go a caution. Second time the bowler goes in, you go final warning. Third time the bowler goes in, you remove the bowler from the attack. So that's the law, but there's a bit of practical application, and again, for the purpose of the exam, and when you answer your questions in the exam, you need to answer the questions as per the law. I'm just going to give you a bit of a practical application as an umpire, how I deal with bowlers that do run in the protected area. So in example 1, let's say it's test match, first over of the test match. And let's say Kagiso Rabada bowling. So now Kagiso bowling, first ball of a test match, day 1, first ball, and Kagiso's right foot slightly goes into the protected area. So now, according to the law says if the bowler goes in the first time, you need to give a caution. Okay, but what I'm saying is, and this is how I deal with it, how I manage the players, first ball of the test match. So what I will do is I'll have a quiet word with Kagiso as he's coming back to his mark. Walks past me. I'll whisper in his ear, say, Kagiso, your right foot went into the protected area. Please, you need to stay out of the protected area. Instead of going first ball of the test match, cautioning the bowler straight away. So initially I try to, to manage it, work with the bowler, bowler getting Kagiso, first ball, getting his run up, getting his line in. I initially try to work with it. Again, this is me. Some other umpires might differ how they're going to handle it. If umpire wants to go first ball of the game, give Kagiso a caution for running into protected area. no problem. The umpire has the law to back him or her up. Yeah, but I mean, first ball of a test match, to give a warning. And I mean, I don't think Kagiso would want to scuff up that protected area first ball of the test match, and also taking into account if South Africa is bowling first and they're going to the bat last in the test match. I don't think Kagiso is trying to scuff up the protected area, but it's still an important job of the umpires. We need to protect that area. And we need to make sure that players stays out of it. The bowlers needs to stay out of it. We'll get to batters later on. Okay, but initially I try to manage it. So in my example, first ball of the test match, I'll have a word with Kagiso. Let's say now third ball of the test match, Kagiso's in again. Now I'll say, Kagiso, I spoke to you earlier. You in? Please, you need to stay out of the protected area. It's I'll just let him know it's an important part of my job. I need to protect that area. I cannot let you run in there forever and scuff up that protected area. Just imagine how it's going to look on day 5 of the test match. So I need to do my job. So again, I'll have a word with Kagiso. Now let's say third over, Kagiso now in again. So this is now the third time I'm going to speak to Kagiso. So now what I'll do is I'll have a word with Kagiso and I'll call the captain over. I'll say, Temba, this is now the third time I'm speaking to Kagiso. Kagiso's running into the protected area. I need to protect that area. He's scuffing up that protected area. Temba, your team is batting last on this. I cannot let Kagiso just run in the protected area. So I'm just letting you know, third time, next one, I'm going to give Kagiso a caution if he goes in there again. So now, initially I tried to manage it. I now brought in the captain. So now next time when Kagiso goes in there, so everyone is now informed. My colleague is informed. Captain is informed. Bowler knows exactly. We'll usually radio this into the master ref as well. So master referee is informed as well. So now when Kagiso do go in there now a fourth time, absolutely. When I do go caution, I've try to manage it. Bowler can't be upset. Captain can't be upset. So point I'm trying to make is, in my example, initially taking the game situation into account, first over of the test match or first morning of the test match, I try to work with the bowler, try to manage it to a certain extent because I can't let it go on forever. And then bring the captain in. And when I do go over and go into punishment, everyone was informed. Everyone, no one can point any fingers at umpiring because I try to work with the bowler. I try to help the bowler. So this is just my management style. And as I said to you, this is, let's say, early in the test match, first few overs. So taking context, taking game situation into account. But let's just use the same scenario. And let's just fast forward this to day number 5. Let's say it's the morning of day number 5. So South Africa's busy bowling, and they've got South Africa is now going to let's say another test match. It's now on day 5. South Africa is bowling on the morning of day 5. Let's say Sri Lanka needs to score 300 to win on day 5. South Africa bowling, and South Africa's got 4 spinners in their side. So now Kagiso's opening the bowling because it's in the morning, so he'll get the first few overs. So now with South Africa bowling, and they being day 5 and having 4 spinners in their side, Kagiso now bowls that first delivery and he goes in. So now match situation dictates me now. I now need to be much more stricter in handling bowlers going into that protected area. Because now if Kagiso goes in there, scuffing up that protected area, it will be an advantage to the South African spinners. So now I will be much stricter in how I govern bowlers going in. So if I see Kagiso go in there the first time, I will now I'll say, Kagiso, You first ball of the day 5, you in. I'm letting you know now, and I'll call Kemba. Kagiso's in first over, first time. It's day 5, bowling. You've got 4 spinners. Next time it happens, I'm going into a caution. So taking game situation into account, how I manage the protected area. Again, it's just my management style. There are some umpires that say I'm not there to teach bowlers. If they're in, and I'm going to give warnings straight away. So even if first morning of our test match, first over of a test match, if Kagiso's in there 3 times, I'll remove Kagiso out of the attack first over of the test match. There's some umpires that feels that way. They're applying the law. They have the law to back them up. But I'm tell you now, it's going to be your umpiring career. It's going to be you're going to be have players up, in your face throughout your career. So what I'm saying is, it's just me, my management style. Try to manage it. Take the game situation into account and not just apply the law. Just me, my style. Everyone is different. So now that's bowlers running into the protected area. We'll get to later what happens if the striker goes into the protected area, but we'll get to it later on. I first want to cover what happens if batters damages the pitch and what is the punishment. So here the law speaks about batters damaging the pitch. And the pitch is the whole pitch. The width of the pitch is 3.05 meters. The length is 20.12 meters. So it's that whole pitch and not just the protected area. So the law tells us that if a batter causes deliberate or avoidable damage to the pitch, like in the example in the animation video that we saw, where a batter was trying to use the spikes to scuff up an area. So if there was a deliberate attempt by either of the batters to cause damage to the pitch, and as soon as you see it, what do you need to do as the umpire? You need to act immediately, and it is unfair, and you need to go first and final warning. This is a team warning, so each incoming batter to be informed, and it's a warning that will apply throughout the innings. Again, you need to inform everyone, fielding captain, and as soon as possible, the batting captain. So now in the first innings, let's say you've gone first and final warning. But now, later in the innings, again the batter tried to scuff up the pitch. Now, what is the punishment? Any runs that they took, you need to disallow the runs from that delivery. You need to return batters back to their original ends. If there was a wide or no ball, that will stay. 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. And any 5 penalty runs that is applicable will be awarded. There's one exception, and that exception is if the ball should hit the protective helmet belonging to the fielding side. If the batters was damaging the pitch, those penalty runs will not be applicable in this instance. So now you can see the punishment. If batters damage it, you go first in final first, and then second time you go into this action. And then lastly, you must inform everyone and then report this to the governing body. The last subsection under Law 41 that I'm handling is, I mentioned earlier about bowlers going into the protected area. Similarly, strikers should not also be going into the protected area. And the law guides us by telling us strikers do not stand so close to that protected area. And because they're so close, if they are going to play forward, they're going to go into that protected area. So if you do see a striker go close to the protected area, you need to have a word with the striker, but I'll get back to a practical management of this. But let's first see what the law tells us. Firstly, tell us striker not to stand so close to the protected area. Striker may make a mark on the pitch to take guard, but that taking guard, that mark should not be very close to the protected area. So now law tell us if a striker contravenes any of those 2 points above, first time it happens, you go first and final warning. Second time, then you inform the non-striker, and it's a team warning, so each incoming batter to be informed as well, and inform both captains when possible. Fielding captain easy because fielding captain is on the field, but the batting captain when practicable. So first time the striker goes in there, you'll go, or first time the striker contravenes the first 2 points above, you go first and final. If there's any further instance where any batter in the innings, in that innings, let's say it's the first innings, contravenes any of those 2 things, this is the punishment. Any runs from that delivery to be disallowed. Batters sent back to their original ends. No ball or wide to applicable. If applicable, to be added to the score. 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. And any other penalty runs to be awarded? There's one exception. Those penalty runs, if the ball should hit the helmet that was placed by the fielding side behind the keeper. Inform everyone and then report this to the governing body of cricket for that particular competition. So this is how we deal with striker. You go in the protected area. If it happens first time, you go first and final, and then second time, any of the batters, it's a team warning, you apply this. But a practical application. So if I do see the batter going close, the first time it happens, I first see the first time what the batter, what the batter's doing. Because on many occasions I had batters, the way they have, the trigger movement is back and across. So I have the batter getting a bit close to the protected area, but as the bowler is about to release the ball, the batter has this back and across trigger movement, and this back and across trigger movement take the batter then close to the popping crease again. So when the batter is hitting the ball, the striker is nowhere near the protected area. So that's why I look at that first time, look at that first delivery, if just to check how the batter is playing it. So if I see a back and across and the batter is now far away from the protected area, no issue. But if I do see after that first ball, the batter takes a step forward and that front foot goes into that protected area, I will go have a word with the batter. I'll walk closely. I won't make a scene. I'll just whisper in the batter's ears. Batter, you're not allowed to stand so close to the protected area. You need to get back. If you're not going to get back, I'm going to have to apply the law. So initially I tried to manage it. After ball 1, I tried to manage it. If the batter persists on, no, this is where I stand, no issue. That second ball, as soon as that batter goes in, I will go first and final warning. Try to work with you batter, but if you hard-headed and want to do what you want to do, I need to apply the law. So again, try to manage it at first. There's no right or wrong. So if you do want to go straight into a warning, like the law says, absolutely no issue. You have the law to back you up. But just my umpiring, my management style is I initially try to manage it, and if players, don't want to listen, then need to apply the law. So Tom, that is all I'm covering this evening. I do have 3 more slides left, actually 4 more. I'm not sure why. There was another course question that I had to ask. It was a video of a no ball that's either above waist height or not above waist height. Somehow, I don't know, I skipped that video. So once I've done with these 3 slides, just give me a second. Let me just go find that video. I want to play it, and I want the attendees to answer that particular quiz, that particular video in the chat box. So a few exam tips especially when it comes to answering, the law-related questions. Write down as much as the law as much of the law that is applicable to the question, and then you apply the scenario. You don't need to quote the law word by word. You don't need to quote the law verbatim. As long as you can explain what the law is in your own words, the evaluator marking your exam, all he or she wants to see is the examiner. They know the law. If it's in their own words, no problem. There's no the expectation of it must be verbatim as per the law. So write as much. Start with this is what the law say, and then apply the law to the scenario. In your exam, in the question, if they do put in the question the amount of balls, let's say it happened the third ball of the over when the bowler bowled a full toss above waist height, striker standing upright at the popping crease. So you know this is a third ball, and you know that this ball is a no ball. So in your answer, you need to put down that, because they mention about the number ball, or it is the third ball of the over, and with this ball being a no ball, you need to put as part of your answer, when play restarts, there will be 4 balls remaining in the over. When they do mention about overs, and we will cover this and we will show you examples when we do our revision questions later today and next week, Tuesday, always calculate how many overs remains in the day. In your question, they will put it's let's say there were 100 overs to be bowled in the day. After 66.4 overs, side A is dismissed. So part of your answer, now they're asking you when will side B go bat, how many overs left. You need to put down part of your answer, how many overs left. In those penalty time scenarios, I mentioned it, please put down all your steps, not just the answer. Even if your answer is right, you'll get 1 point only for the correct answer. The most of the marks lies in how you got to your answer. So if the question is 5 marks, so step by step how you got to your answer. Sometimes you might do a simple calculation error in your last step, but because your first steps were correct, you still get 4 marks for that, even though your answer might be incorrect, and it might just be a stupid subtraction error or addition error that you made, but you can still get 4 marks. But if you just put the answer, and if your answer is incorrect, you get 0. So if there is a dead ball in a scenario, mention whether the ball or not counts in the over. Also, if there is running involved in the scenario, and if, let's say, if a batter is dismissed or not, please mention who faces the next delivery. These are all where those marks lies. To get full marks, if you add these points, you're able to get full marks instead of getting 5 out of 6 or 4 out of 5. By putting down these points, you can get full marks for the questions. And in the level 3 exam, there are lots to write. It's a 3-hour exam, but that 3 hours fly by. So just to save a bit of time, and the evaluator will know exactly what you mean, and to get points, you can write when you do need to, let's say under law 41, if you do answer the question right at the end, where you need to inform everyone and inform the captains, inform your colleague, report this to the governing body of cricket, you can just write inform and report. The evaluator would be happy to give you those marks. You don't need to write in full. I'm going to inform the fielding captain. I'm going to inform the batting captain when practicably. I'm going to inform my colleague. I'm going to report this to the governing body of cricket for that. That will take a bit of time. Just write inform and report, and you will get those points. And then lastly, try to leave 2 or 3 lines between the questions. Sometimes when you go over it again, you're not done. You go over your questions, and you say, okay, I forgot to write this. Then there is space to write down those additional points. 2 more slides, Tom, before handing over to you. Actually, I first want to do that quiz question at Noble video. So when a delivery is bowled and a ball becomes dead, but it doesn't count as one of the legal deliveries in the over. We covered this last week, so just to go over it again, instances where first one, striker's not ready for the ball, and if the ball is delivered, makes no attempt to play at the ball, that ball, yes, you call it signal dead ball, but that ball that was delivered will not count as one in the over. If a striker is distracted by a noise or movement while preparing to receive the delivery, even if the ball is delivered, you call that signal dead ball, ought to count as one of the legal deliveries in the over. If there was a deliberate attempt to distract the striker or deliberate attempt of a distraction, deception, or obstruction, yes, the ball will not count. Even if the ball was, yes, you'll call it signal dead ball, but that ball not to count as one for the over. Two more instances, player returning without permission. As soon as that player that went off the field to get treatment returned without the umpire's permission, as soon as that player touches the ball becomes dead. But also in that instance, ball not to count as one for the over. And lastly, illegal fielding, where also if illegal fielding happens, that ball, even though it was delivered, also not to count as one of the legal deliveries in the over. So Tom, thank you so much. If you can just give me a second, and I do have another course video that somehow went past. I don't know how I went past it. I just want to play that video. And if in the chat box, please put on in the video. Just give me a second. I just want to get there. Here's the video. Whether the striker is out bowled or whether you're going to call and signal no ball. Let's have a look at the video. All I want is course question 41.7, bowled or no ball.
Oh, bowled him. I wonder if it's a no ball. Well, we're going upstairs for this. We're going upstairs.
This is over the waistline, yeah, and I think he's got a strong case.
So I'll just play it again. I'll take it right till the end, and you know which question to ask. You just need to ask yourself, batter standing upright at the popping crease, is it above waist out or not? Is it no ball or not? But remember, the ball went on to go against the stump, so are you going to call no ball, or are you going to say, okay, no, sorry, batter, this is out ball? Put your answer in the chat box. Thomas, thank you so much. That is all I'm covering. Handing back over to you.
Right, now I'm going to share my screen and take you through the answers to the quiz questions that were posed. First quiz question. So Matthew Wade hits the ball high up in the air and he realizes that there's no run on offer. And he looks around. First, he couldn't find where the ball was. And then when he sees where the ball is going to land and that Mark Wood is getting under the catch, he puts his body and his arm in the way of the bowler. This is a willful obstruction preventing a catch from being taken by the striker. On appeal, Matthew Wade would be given out. Quite clearly, he looks at where the bowler is. He knows where the ball is. So, pretty straightforward decision. On appeal, give the striker out, obstructing the field. Just out of interest, in that particular scenario, Matthew Wade was not given out. Why? Because England decided not to appeal. So a bit of sportsmanship shown by the captain of England, although there was very little sportsmanship shown by Matthew Wade in that scenario. Correct answer for quiz question 37. That was definitely out. Caught, out obstructing the field. Next, we're going to move to quiz question 39, which is related to a stumping. Let's watch the video and I'll talk you through it.
First.
So bowler bowls the ball and batter Ridiman Sahan runs past it and the wicketkeeper takes the bails off. Now, what is to be considered here, we'll see it in the replay, that the wicketkeeper, at first, the ball goes through his gloves, bounces off his body, and then onto the grill of his helmet. Now, a lot of people think that the ball goes dead when the ball hits the grill of a helmet that is worn by a fielder or a batter. But no, that is not the case. The ball stays alive and the wicket is fairly put down by the wicketkeeper with the striker out of his ground. Therefore, the correct decision for quiz question 39 is out stumped. Let's move on to quiz question 41.5. Is this out stumped, or do we award 5 penalty runs to the batting side for deliberate deception by the wicketkeeper? So I'll talk you through the scenario. The bowler bowls the ball down leg side. The wicketkeeper collects the delivery cleanly, but he turns to look back as if he had missed the ball. And that is considered deliberate deception by the wicketkeeper. The striker was deceived, so he thought the ball had gone past the wicketkeeper, and as a result, he started running. When the wicketkeeper heard that the striker was out of his ground, he then whipped the bails off. Very clever piece of wicketkeeping, but an illegal piece of deception. Therefore, we need to invoke the law 41.5, which says if there is deliberate deception, distraction, or obstruction of the batter, any batter, by any member of the fielding side, either umpire shall call and signal dead ball, and neither of the batters will be dismissed off that delivery. We shall award 5 penalty runs to the batting side, as well as the run in progress, even if the batters had not crossed. Abdullah mentioned this was the only part in the law where we will award the run to the batters as long as they have attempted a run or started a run. Even if they haven't crossed, it will be awarded to them. So that's 5 penalty runs plus the 1 for the striker leaving his crease. And it is also the only place in the law where the batters at the crease will decide who faces the next delivery. So what looked like a clever bit of wicket keeping actually should have resulted in a lot of punishment for that bit of deception. That is the correct answer for quiz question 41.5. Then we move on to the last quiz question, 41.7. Lungi Ngidi bowling to Shadab Khan. We will see quite clearly on the replay that this delivery is above waist height with the striker standing upright at the crease. Therefore, the correct answer to this scenario is no ball. Okay, now I've seen a few questions in the chat box relating to full tosses above waist height or non-pitching deliveries above waist height delivered at the striker. So we've determined that this should be called a no ball because it was a full toss above waist height with the striker standing upright at the crease. There we go. And because the delivery was directed at the striker, the bowler, as per law, will be given a first and final warning. Now, there is a difference between the laws and the playing conditions. So the laws simply state that if a delivery is deemed to be dangerous, then we shall give a first and final warning to the bowler. If a delivery that is above waist height, when it reaches the popping crease with the height of the striker standing upright at the crease, then we should obviously call and signal no ball. And if it is likely to inflict injury on the striker, then we give a first and final warning. Okay, now that sentence or phrase, likely to inflict injury on the striker, is a judgment call. Okay, so what the International Cricket Council have done is, in their playing conditions, they have decided to word it slightly differently so that it doesn't require as much interpretation or judgment. It simply says if the delivery is directed at the striker, then we shall give a first and final warning. And if there is another delivery that is directed at the striker and is above waist height with the striker standing upright at the crease in the same innings, then that particular bowler will be removed from the attack. Okay? If it was, well, obviously it wouldn't be the last ball of the over because it was a no ball. So then another bowler would have to complete that over. Remember that the warnings are specific to the bowler. So another bowler completing the over for, let's say, Lungi Ngidi, if this was his second no ball above waist height directed at the striker, that striker, if he or she does not have any warnings, then if they bowl another full toss directed at the striker, then they will get their first and final warning. So it's not a team warning. It is a warning for the bowler who delivers the first and final warning, who delivers the full toss above waist height directed at the striker. I saw another question asking, what if the second full toss by the same bowler in the innings is away from the striker? It is not delivered at the striker. Yes, we will call and signal no ball, but because it is not delivered at the striker, then we shall not suspend the bowler from bowling for the rest of the innings. It is only the second delivery of a non-pitching delivery above waist height with the striker standing upright at the crease and it's directed at the striker, then we will remove this bowler from the bowling attack. Okay, so only if both deliveries are directed at the striker and are above waist height with the striker standing upright at the crease will we remove the bowler from the bowling attack. He or she can bowl as many deliveries above waist height as they want. If they are not directed at the striker, they will not incur a warning and they will not result in the bowler being removed from the bowling attack. Okay, so we won't answer those questions in the chat box later. I have answered all of the questions about the full toss above waist height directed at the striker or not directed at the striker. Law versus playing conditions. Okay, if there are any further questions, you can raise your hand and we will deal with them at the end of the meeting. Okay, if you've read the question and you think you know the answer, please put your virtual hand up and Abdullah will prompt you to unmute your microphone and answer the question. So question number 12, you'll remember that in lecture number 3, I think it is, we went through questions 1 to 11, and these are all non-calculation type questions. These are theory-based questions on the content that we've delivered in lecture 3, 4, and 5. So during the final session on day 3 of a provincial 4-day game, the striker pushes a ball to short cover and sets off for a quick single. The striker attempts a dive at the bowler's end to make good his or her ground. Before the ball strikes the wicket, the striker's bat, however, with the dive, his or her bat just lifted when the ball hits the wicket with the bat in the air. There is an appeal, and the important part of this scenario is that the striker attempts a dive at the bowler's end to make good his or her ground. Abdullah, I've seen a few hands go up. Please let me know who is the first hand who can answer the example question.
Tom, you know who Clint Eastwood is. You know who's quickest on the draw. Abi, can you unmute your microphone, please, and provide it with the answer? Over to you, Abi.
Yeah, thanks, Tom and Abdullah. So here, since the ball, before the ball striking the wicket, the striker's bat was just grounded beyond the wicket. But with the momentum of his or her dive, bat just got lifted when the ball hit the wicket with the bat in the air. So the batter is considered not out because the batters had made the ground before the ball struck the wicket, but the momentum actually made the bat lift. So as per the law, it's not considered out, as the batter was trying to make the ground towards the wicket, right? It was not against, so that has to be considered.
Correct, Abi. The striker is not out, run out, and the run is complete. Law 30.1.2 tells us that a batter shall not be considered to be out of his or her ground if in running or diving towards his or her ground. And that is the important part of the scenario, as I mentioned. And having grounded some part of his or her person or bat beyond the popping crease, there is subsequent loss of contact between the ground and any part of his or her person or bat, or between the bat and person. So as a result of law 30.1.2, having the crease and then because of the dive, the bat lifted when the ball hit the stumps, the striker is not out, run out. Well done. Just a reminder, in the exam, you do not have to state the law number, and you also do not have to repeat the law verbatim. You just have to write down your understanding of the relevant law. And of course, whenever there is an appeal, the first thing you need to do is answer the appeal. Okay, Good. Next question, question number 13. While the bowler is running up to deliver the ball and after entering his or her delivery stride, the striker knocks off the bails while preparing to receive the delivery. The bowler, seeing that the bails are on the ground, holds onto the ball and does not deliver the ball. The wicketkeeper, seeing that the bails are on the ground, appeals to the striker's end umpire. How was that? There is an appeal. There's always going to be an appeal when the striker puts his or her wicket down. Please answer the appeal and explain your actions, if any. Abdullah, new hands?
The first new hand, Thomas Isanullah. Can you unmute your microphone and give us the answer, please?
Hi everyone, hi to Tom and Abdullah. The umpire must call and signal dead ball, not out and dead ball, because when the bowler, when the striker break the stump, but the bowler didn't deliver the ball, so the striker will be not out, hit wicket.
That's correct, Isanullah. First thing we need to do is we need to answer the appeal. The striker is not out, hit wicket. And then what we do, we call and signal dead ball. Why? Because law 35.1.2 tells us that if the striker breaks his or her wicket before the bowler has entered the delivery stride, either umpire shall call and signal dead ball. Good, well done, Isanullah. Thank you. Next question.
But Tom, one doubt I have. The question says after entering his or her delivery stride, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, apologies. So the actual answer then, or the law that is relevant to this scenario, is the bowler did not deliver
the ball.
Yeah. Yes. Well spotted, Abi. So it is not actually law 35.1.2. It is part of the dead ball law. That is the correct reference for the scenario. Thanks, Abi. Well spotted. I'll change that before sending out this questions and answers to all of you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. South African time, when I send the recording for this lecture, I will also send out another 25 questions for all of you to answer, or at least to prepare to answer next week, Tuesday, for our final lecture. And those are even better example questions of what to expect in the Cricket South Africa Level 2 exam. So I'll send you these 25 questions and answers, and I'll send you another fresh 25 questions for you to answer next week, Tuesday. Question 14. The wicketkeeper is standing up to the stumps for a slow bowler. The striker attempts a sweep shot, but only manages to glove the ball, which loops up in the air and heads towards the striker's wicket. The striker legally hits the ball with his or her bat to prevent the ball from landing on his or her stumps, but in doing so denies the wicketkeeper the chance of catching the ball. There is an appeal. Make your decision and explain your actions, if any. Abdullah, any new hands?
Yes, Thomas. Satrugna, you were quick on the draw after Abi. Mute the microphone, please.
Yeah, hi Tom, hi Abdullah. On appeal, the striker is out obstructing the field because he is deliberately preventing the catch. So it is illegal. So according to law, he will be out obstructing the field. He can lawfully guard the wicket except preventing catching. That's it.
Correct, Satruguna, well done. The striker is out obstructing the field. Law 37.3 tells us that if the delivery is not a no ball, The striker is out obstructing the field if willful obstruction or distraction by either batter prevents the striker from being out caught. This shall apply even if an obstruction is caused by the striker in lawfully guarding his or her wicket. So yes, the law does allow a second lawful strike, but not if it prevents a catch from being taken. If you prevent a catch from being taken with a second lawful strike, you will be out obstructing the field. Good. Okay, those were the easy ones. Now we have a 5-mark question. Question 15. The striker does not attempt to play at the ball. The ball strikes the striker on the pad and deflects to short fine leg. A fielder that returned to the field without the consent of the umpires fields the ball and throws down the stumps at the non-striker's end with the striker short of his or her ground. There is an appeal by the fielding side. Answer the appeal and explain the procedure to follow. Ooh, I've already given you a bit of the answer there. Abdullah, any new hands for this 5-mark question, please?
Not yet, Tom. Let's give it 5 more seconds. There's lots to digest here. I've got 2 hands, but no new hands. Tom, I've got a new hand. Timitope, can you unmute your microphone? And for 5 marks, discuss and explain what will happen. Over to you, Timitope.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yeah, on this situation, the striker does not attempt to play the ball. So at this situation, he had tried to play the ball. That was when he said he deflected the ball to the short leg. So on that situation, the ball is valid for us to even call a leg by because he has attempted to play the ball. Then for the fielder returning without the permission, no fielder is allowed to return to the field without the consent of the umpire. So for that day, and the fielder is fielding the ball. So that gives a 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. And the batter is not out, even the one that was out of his ground.
Okay, why would the batter not be out, Temitope?
The ball will not be out because the ball is supposed to be a dead ball. Immediately, the fielder that came in before the umpires, without the umpires' consent, touched the ball becomes dead. So that way, there cannot be any dismissal.
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear. Well done, Temitope. The striker is not out, so we've answered the appeal. Why is the striker not out? Law 24.4 talks about a player returning without permission. It says that if a player comes onto the field of play without the consent of either umpire and comes into contact with the ball while it is in play, the ball shall immediately become dead. So nothing that happens after that is valid. Okay, so the umpires shall call or signal no ball or wide to the scorers if applicable. Ladies and gents, I'm not sure if Abdullah mentioned this as an exam tip. This line in any scenario where it is valid is a free mark waiting to be captured by all of you. Okay, the umpires shall signal no ball or wide to the scorers if applicable. That is in the memorandum for a lot of these scenarios. And if you remember it, that's a free mark that you can get. Okay, in this scenario, the umpires shall award 5 penalty runs to the batting side. Runs completed by the batters shall be scored together with the run in progress if they had already crossed at the instant of the offense. There were no runs completed in this scenario, and they had not crossed by the time that the fielder that had returned to the field without the consent of the umpires came into contact with the ball. Okay, well done, Temi Tope.
And Tom, what about ball counting?
So the ball does count as a legal delivery. Oh, no, sorry. The ball does not count as a legal delivery in the over and needs to be rebowled. Thanks, Isanula. Well done. I should have included that in the memorandum. I will do so for tomorrow's email. Question 16. The opening bowler, Peter, while in his run-up and before entering his delivery stride, notices that the non-striker is out of his or her ground while backing up. He deliberately breaks the stumps with the hand holding the ball and appeals for a run-out. There is an appeal. Answer the appeal and explain the procedure to follow. For 2 marks, Abdullah, any new hands?
Not yet, Tom. Just give it 5 more seconds. We've got 2 old hands, but a few more seconds.
Just an add-on. This is not part of the question, but usually when the bowler runs out the non-striker, they will have entered their delivery stride. I've never seen a non-striker leave the popping crease before the bowler enters his or her delivery stride. That would be deliberately trying to steal ground, I would imagine, by the non-striker. But this is what the question is. Before entering his or her delivery stride, the bowler notices that the non-striker is out of his or her ground. He deliberately breaks the stumps with the hand holding the ball and appeals for a run-out.
Yes, Tom, we have a new hand. She just raised it. Ans, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with the answer, please?
Yes. Hi, Tom. Hi, Abdullah. The batter will be, the non-striker will be out run out because the bowler has not yet entered his delivery stride, and the ball will not count as one of the over as well.
Well done, Ansh from Tanzania. Good to have you in our lectures again. So yes, the non-striker is out run out, and the ball shall not count as one of the over. Law 38.3.1 tells us that if the non-striker is out of his or her ground at any time from the moment the ball comes into play until the instant when the bowler would normally have been expected to release the ball, the non-striker is liable to be run out. And we can see that these criteria have been met in the scenario above. The wicket is fairly broken with the non-striker out of his or her ground. Therefore, the non-striker is out, run out. And as Ansh mentioned, the ball shall not count as one of the over. The ball will never count as one of the over if the non-striker is run out by the bowler, because the ball hasn't been delivered. If the ball is delivered and the wicket was put down when the bowler went in his or her delivery stride, then of course it will be a no ball. But according to law, the non-striker can still also be out run out, because you can be out run out off a no ball. But it won't count as a legal delivery because it is a no ball. Next question, question 17. The batter plays forward to a spin bowler. The batter misses the ball, which in turn strikes the grill of the wicketkeeper. The wicketkeeper, seeing that the batter, who is not attempting a run, is still short of his or her ground, breaks the striker's wicket with the ball in the gloves. There is an appeal from the fielders. This is very similar to our video quiz question earlier in the evening. For 3 marks, Abdullah, please answer the appeal and any actions to follow.
No new hands as yet, Tom. Give it a few more seconds. Tom, no new hands, so we'll go to Abhi, who was quickest. Abhi, over to you.
Thanks, Abdullah and Tom. So, as the wicketkeeper broke the stumps with the ball in the gloves and the batter was not attempting a run, it will be out stumped. So, though the ball came off the wicketkeeper's grill, it's still part of the person and is considered legal. So that would be the answer. Yeah.
That's correct, Abhi. The striker is out stumped. Law 39.1.1. If a ball which is delivered is not called a no ball and he or she is out of his or her ground and he or she has not attempted a run, when his or her wicket is fairly broken by the wicketkeeper without the intervention of another fielder, that satisfies the criteria for the striker to be out stumped. Good. Moving along to question 18. A striker hits a delivery back in the air towards the bowler. The bowler, in his follow-through, gets a hand on the ball, which in the air deflects onto the off stump, with the non-striker who was backing up out of his crease. The ball bounces off the top of the stumps, flies to mid-off in the air, who completes a simple catch. There is an appeal. Discuss and explain the procedure to follow. Obviously, please answer the appeal as well. Surely there's a new hand for this scenario, Abdullah.
Yes, Tom. Sandeep, can you unmute your microphone and provide us the answer? Over to you, Sandeep.
Good evening, Tom. Good evening, Abdullah. Good evening, everyone. Here, the striker is out caught. As soon as ball hits the, hits the towards the bowler follow through and he touches the ball and deflects onto the stumps of the bowler and umpire stumps, and it deflects and gone to the fielders. And here is a situation that catch take precedence. So in that case, the striker is out caught.
Okay. Catch takes precedence over what laws? Sandeep?
Run out in that case.
Good. In this case, yes.
Yeah.
Catch takes precedence over the run out. So the law tells us that if the criteria of caught are met and the striker is not out bowled, then he or she is out caught, even though a decision against either batter for another mode of dismissal would be justified. So remember, I explained last week that bowled is the big boss, caught is the next boss, and all the other modes of dismissal follow after caught. Okay, well done, Sandeep. Thank you. Moving on to question number 19. During a 4-day provincial match, a fielder intentionally fakes the motion of fielding the ball that was wide of him to prevent the batters from taking a run. The batters, in their confusion, turned around and ran back to their original ends. The ball is returned by another fielder to the wicketkeeper, who runs out the striker. There is an appeal from the wicketkeeper. Answer the appeal and explain the procedure to follow for 6 marks. Abdullah?
Tom, so far only Clint Eastwood. Let's give a few more seconds. It is a mouthful. It is 6 marks. They're just gathering the answer in their heads.
Are there any WPCUA members in the house this evening, Abdullah?
Let me have a look. Yeah, Tom, I see 1 or 2, yeah.
Okay. Not going to name any, but just going to remind them that these questions are similar to the level that they will be getting in the Cricket South Africa Level 3 exam. So for best preparation, better to get it wrong now than to get it wrong in the actual exam, Abdullah.
Agree with you, Tom. So, Tom, no new hands. I'm going to give Isanullah the opportunity because we gave Abi the opportunity earlier. So, Isanullah, can you unmute your microphone and provide us with this answer, please?
Hi, Tom, and hi, Abdullah. A fielder intentionally take the motion of the fielding. So it is more fielding or deceiving the hitters. So either umpire shall call in signal to third ball, award 5 penalty runs to the batting side. The ball will not count as one of the over. Any penalty runs for no ball or wide ball will stand. And the batter or the batters of the wicket will decide that who will take strike for the next delivery, and the umpire together should report it in form.
Okay, very good, Isanullah.
And runs in progress, even they completed or not, the runs in progress will count as well.
Okay, if they haven't crossed, will the run count, Isanullah?
Yes. The run in progress will count if they crossed or not.
Okay, good. You haven't answered the appeal. Please answer the appeal.
Appeal shall be not out. No dismissal is allowed.
Okay, excellent. Please, everybody, remember, if there is an appeal, then answer the appeal and then give your reason for the answer to your appeal. Okay, so let's go through it. It's quite a lot. And very well done by Isanullah. The striker is not out, run out. Why? Because there was an instance of deception by the fielding side. If either umpire considers that a fielder has caused or attempted to cause a distraction, deception, or obstruction, he or she shall immediately call and signal dead ball and inform the other umpire of the reason for the call. Neither batter shall be dismissed from that delivery. The bowlers and umpire shall signal no ball or wide to the scorers if applicable. Free mark. Award 5 penalty runs to the batting side. The ball shall not count as one of the over and needs to be rebowled. Any runs completed by the batters shall count. Additionally, the run in progress shall be scored whether or not the batters had already crossed at the instant of the offense. The batters at the wicket shall decide which of them is to face the next delivery. Inform and report. Remember 41.5.8 and 41.5.9. It's the only place in the law book where we award a run even if the batters have not crossed, and where the batters will decide which of them face the next delivery. Well done, Isanullah. Question 20. Let me just take the answer off. The batter plays the ball to third man. The point fielder runs to retrieve the ball. While running, he or she takes his or her cap off his or her head. He or she picks up the ball well within the boundary and returns it to the keeper. The ball hits the hat on the ground before it reaches the keeper. The batters had completed 2 runs and did not cross while running the third when the ball hit the cap. Discuss in full the procedure to follow. Abdullah, once again, we have quite a lengthy scenarios. As you mentioned in previous lectures, it's important for candidates to break down each scenario step by step. Firstly, if there's an appeal, answer the appeal. There is no appeal in this scenario, but write down your understanding of the relevant law in the scenario and give your explanation of the procedure to follow. Any new hands for this 6-mark question, Abdullah?
No, Tom. You 2 usual suspects. So far, only them. Let's give it a few more seconds. There is a lot to digest in your head. There's 6 marks, so there is a lot to write down.
We're not going to name any WPCUA members tonight, Abdullah, but I think for lecture 6, the revision lecture, we have to.
Tom, we do have a new name. Tosif, can you unmute your microphone, please, and give us the answer? Over to you, Tosif.
Hi, good evening, Abdullah and Tom. In this scenario, the fielder take off his cap willfully. So when the ball hit to his cap, when he's returned to the wicket keeper, as soon as the ball hit to the cap, ball become a dead. And we give 5 penalty runs to the batting side. And we gather with 2 runs, which is they completed. And if it's no ball, then we count no ball run as well. And third run is not the batsman doesn't cross, so we give 2 runs, which is they completed, and with 5 penalty runs for the ball hit it to the caps that fielder take off from his head.
Does the ball count as a legal delivery in the over, Tosif?
Yeah, the ball does count one of the deliveries.
Okay, when there's an instant of illegal fielding, even though the ball has been bowled, it will not count as a legal delivery in the over. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Well done. Otherwise, Tosif, I think you covered most of the 6 marks. Let's go through the full answer. A fielder will be deemed to have fielded the ball illegally while the ball is in play. He or she willfully discards a piece of clothing, equipment, or any other object which subsequently makes contact with the ball. Okay, remember, if the cap flew off accidentally and then the throw hit the cap, that would not be deemed illegal fielding. But because in this scenario, the fielder deliberately threw the cap off and the throw hit the cap that had been thrown off, then it is considered illegal fielding. The ball shall immediately become dead, and I'm not sure if you said it was a no ball, Tosif, but remember the phrase that is in the law book says the penalty for a no ball or a wide shall stand. And I think it's always a good idea to write if applicable. Okay. Any runs completed by the batters shall be credited to the batting side together with the run in progress if the batters had already crossed at the instant of the illegal fielding. They hadn't crossed for the third in this scenario, so only 2 runs are added to the 5 penalty runs. Very importantly, the ball shall not count as a legal delivery in the over and needs to be rebowled. Award 5 penalty runs to the batting side, inform and report, and we need to return the batters to their original ends because they had ran and completed 2. They had started the third, but they had not crossed. So that's why we need to return the batters to their original ends. If they had crossed for the third, then they would have got 3 runs and we would not return them to the original ends. Okay, well done, Tosif. Good attempt there. Question 21, Abdullah, for 3 marks. A ball which is delivered by the bowler is a full toss directed at the striker above waist height, which is hit over the mid-wicket boundary for 6. Explain the signals that you as a bowler's end umpire would show in this scenario. Please, Abdullah, we need new hands for this very straightforward scenario. Abdullah, 3 marks for anyone?
Yeah, I'm not. Did we ask Timothy a question? I don't think she answered tonight, Tom. Did she?
Yes, she has, but she hasn't answered twice.
Yeah, so far no new hands, Tom. No new hands. Just give it 5 more seconds. If not, we're gonna go to Timothy. Timothy, over to you for 3 marks. What signals will the umpire make?
Yeah, for this situation, because it's a full toss directed to the bowler and it is above the waist, that's a no ball for the above the waist delivery. And then at the end of that, after the ball is dead, there's a no ball. After the ball is dead, then you re-signal the no ball to the scorer and the 6 runs, because the ball has gone above the bar. It has gone beyond the boundary. Then after that, there shall be a first and final warning to the bowler because the ball would have inflicted an injury on the batter. So that's why the first and final warning should go to him. Then I'll inform my partner of the decision and the field.
Excellent. Temi Tope. Remember, this exam is based on the laws of cricket. In the laws of cricket, there is no free hit. So you do not need to mention that there is a free hit. Obviously, if we were including playing conditions, ICC playing conditions in this, then we would have a free hit, but we are not. So the answer is as follows. Signal no ball, boundary 6, and a first and final warning. There is no official signal for a first and final warning, but it is good umpiring practice for you to maybe put a finger up to show the bowler first and final warning, show the fielding captain first and final warning, because players, coaches, audience, supporters, they should know by you showing that finger that it is a first and final warning. If it was a full toss above waist height, but it was not directed at the striker, we would not give a first and final warning. Good umpiring practice in that scenario would be to show that it was not directed at the striker. So just show whichever side of the striker that the ball passed, that it went that side of the striker. That is why you are not giving a first and final warning. Okay. Body language and the signals that you make help everybody who can't hear you to understand if you are giving a first and final warning or if you're not giving a first and final warning. And if you're not giving a first and final warning, this will show them why you are not giving a first and final warning. So to complete the law, any delivery which passes or would have passed without pitching above waist height of the striker standing upright at the popping crease is unfair. And whenever such a delivery is bowled, the umpire shall call and signal no ball. Okay. The part about the warning in the law is a very long winded sentence or a couple of sentences, so I did not include it. I did not include that law, but I've included it in the start of the answer. Question 22, the striker misses a ball bowled by the off spinner. The wicketkeeper catches the ball and passes it on to the first slip. The striker, seeing the ball in first slip's hands, leaves the crease to tie his or her shoelace. The first slip fielder then throws the ball at the stumps and puts the wicket down with the striker out of his or her crease. There is an appeal from the wicketkeeper for the run out. Discuss and explain the procedure to follow. Of course, we need to answer the appeal as well. Abdullah, simple scenario, 2 marks. Any new hands?
Not yet, Tom. Give it a few more seconds. Yes, Tom, I've got a new hand. Louis, can you unmute your microphone, please?
Thanks, Abdullah. The decision would be not out, run out, because the ball settled in the wicketkeeper's hands when he passed it to the first slip. So the ball is deemed dead and it's not out, run out.
Oh, very interesting interpretation, Louis. Yes, we actually did mention that in one of our previous lectures, that if the ball is in the wicketkeeper's hand and he or she passes it to any member of their fielding side with the intention of them giving it back to the bowler to start his or her run up, then yes, we would deem the ball as being finally settled in the hands of the wicket keeper. To be honest with you, this question wasn't sort of asking whether the ball is dead or not, but I would give you actually your 2 marks for that interpretation. However, we have decided for this scenario, and we were just testing to know if you know that a striker can be run out by a member of the fielding side if they are not attempting a run. So Louis, I will give you your 2 marks for that brilliant piece of interpretation of the dead ball law. But for purposes of this question, we were testing your knowledge of the run out law. So we are going to give the striker out run out. Why? Because either batter is out run out if at any time while the ball is in play, he or she is out of his or her ground and his or her wicket is fairly broken by either the action of a fielder or the ball rebounding off a fielder's person, even though no ball has been called and whether or not a run is being attempted. A lot of people think that if a run is not being attempted, then a batter cannot be out run out. That's not the case. If it's a legal delivery, then the striker will be out run out. Even if it was a no ball, because there was an intervention from the first slip fielder, this scenario would be out run out. Of course, that's if we consider that the batters at the crease and the fielding side had not considered the ball as dead, so the ball is still alive, the striker will be out run out. 3 more questions, Abdullah. Question 23. During a provincial 4-day match, the opening bowler of Team Blue, who is quite quick, bowls a bouncer at the striker, hitting the striker on the side of the head. The striker, who is dazed by the bouncer, and this is probably the critical part of this scenario, stumbles and falls on the ground with no part of the bat or body behind the popping crease. The point fielder collects the ball and throws down the striker's stump. There is an appeal from the fielding team for a run out. Answer the appeal and explain the procedure to follow. Abdullah, any new hands for the 3-mark question, please?
No, Tom, no new hands. Our usual 2 suspects. Give it a few more seconds. Tom, no new hands, but Tausif hasn't given a second answer yet, so I'm going to give Tausif the opportunity to give us this answer. Over to you, Tausif.
Thank you, Abdullah. In this scenario, batter is not out, run out, because in the law saying the any fielder or batter get while hit the ball on the neck and batter is injured, ball become a dead immediately. In this scenario, batter is feeling dizzy and is fell down. So any umpires, striker and umpire or non-striker, they can call a signal dead ball. So after that, whatever is proceed is not going to be considered. So in this scenario, as soon as batter is fall down, we can call a signal dead ball. After that, the point fielder throw the ball. So the run out appeal is not going to be valid.
Happy with that, Tosif? Well done. The striker is not out, run out. Either umpire shall call and signal dead ball when there is a possibly serious injury to a player or an umpire. If the umpires consider this to be a serious injury, the ball is deemed to be dead at the instant the injury occurred. So even though everything happens very quickly and we might only call and signal dead ball after the point fielder has put the wicket down at the striker's end with the striker outside of his or her crease, because the injury occurred before the wicket was fairly put down, then the ball is deemed to be dead before the wicket was put down. Therefore, the striker is not out, run out. And of course, this having been a head injury, we would call on the physio to do a concussion test. That is not part of the laws of cricket. That is additional umpiring technique that you will apply to this scenario. Question 24. The bowler's end umpire calls a no ball for a foot fault delivered by the bowler. The striker legally hits a second time to guard his wicket. Legally hits the ball a second time to guard his or her wicket. The ball rolls towards the square leg boundary and the batters decide to run. As the batters cross, the square leg fielder returns the ball to the wicketkeeper, but before the ball reaches the wicketkeeper, it gently brushes the helmet of a fielder that was put on the ground behind the wicketkeeper. When the wicketkeeper received the ball, he or she put the wicket down with the non-striker short of his or her ground. There is an appeal for run out at the striker's end. Make your decision and explain your actions, if any. Abdullah, quite a lot going on there. First thing that happened was there was a no ball. Secondly, the striker legally protects his or her wicket by hitting the ball for a second time. Because the ball went towards the square leg boundary, the batters decided to run. As the batters cross, the square leg fielder returns the ball to the wicketkeeper, but before the ball reaches the wicketkeeper, it hits the helmet behind the wicketkeeper that is placed on the ground. The wicketkeeper then collects the ball, whips off the bails at the striker's end with the non-striker short of his or her ground. There's obviously going to be an appeal. What is your answer to the appeal? And explain your actions, if any. Quite a lot going on there, Abdullah. Any hands, please?
Our usual two suspects, Tom. Let's keep it a few seconds. There's lots happening here. While they formulate their answer in their heads, giving them a few more seconds. So, Tom, I don't see any new hands. First hand that was raised was Abi. Abi, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Abdullah and Tom. Yeah, there's quite a lot happening here. So, first is a no ball for a football delivered. So, the umpire has to signal a no ball. And then the striker legally hits the ball a second time to guard the wicket. So, as it happens, the ball rolls toward the square leg and the batters decide to run. So, the umpire should let the batters run. But as the batters cross the square leg, fielder returns it to the wicketkeeper, wherein it brushes the helmet of the fielder that is put on the ground behind the wicketkeeper. So the ball should become dead at that point, and so the non-striker should not be given out. But the penalty for 5 runs cannot be given in this case, though the ball brushed the helmet. So that's the exception we make here. And then we discard the runs taken by the batters and we return them to their original end, and we give a penalty for a no ball. No 5 penalty runs, though it brushed the helmet of the wicketkeeper. That's the only exception we make here.
100%. Abi, please explain to all the other candidates why we are not awarding 5 penalty runs for the ball hitting the helmet.
So that's because they illegally ran for the run. So it cannot be a favor to the batting side there, right? So they shouldn't have run in the first instance, but as umpires, we let them run so that the fielding side is not disadvantaged and they can run the batters out. Yeah. So.
Because there was a second hit of the ball by the striker. Yeah.
Yes.
That is why we're going to disallow all runs to the batting side, including the 5 penalty runs for the ball hitting the helmet. Okay, good.
So did I miss any point, Tom? So I just
no, I don't think so. That was expertly answered. We need to answer the appeal first. The striker is not out. And the second important point is that no penalty runs to be awarded. Why? If the ball while in play strikes the protective helmet, the ball shall immediately become dead. Well done. And if the ball while in play strikes a helmet and the circumstances of Law 34 hit the ball twice apply, the umpire shall disallow all runs to the batting side, return any not out batter to his or her original end, signal no ball or wide to the scorers if applicable. No ball was applicable in this scenario. Well done, Abi. And we cannot award any 5 penalty runs because of the ball being hit twice. So very well done there, Abi. 6 out of 6. Abdullah, last question for the evening. The striker who is batting outside his ground to the spinner edges the ball and is caught by the first slip fielder off the wicket-keeper's grill. But the umpire calls no ball for a foot fault. The wicket-keeper, seeing that the striker who is not attempting a run is still out of his ground, breaks the wicket after receiving the ball back from the first slip fielder. There is an appeal from the fielders. What is your decision and why? Let's see if we can get a new hand for the last question of the lecture, Abdullah.
Nothing yet, Tom. Just give it a few more seconds.
What's important to note here that this is a no ball and the striker is not attempting a run. But we also need to note that the throw came in from the first slip fielder.
Tom, we have a new hand. Nagendra, over to you. Nagendra, can you unmute your microphone and give us the answer, please?
Yeah, my voice is clear, sir?
Loud and clear. Go ahead, Nagendra.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. The striker is not out because the ball called is no ball.
Okay, the important part of the scenario, Nagendra, is the first slip fielder threw the ball back to the wicket keeper.
Yeah. Sorry. The bowler is the batter is not trying to turn the run, so there is a not out run out.
Okay. Nagendra, if the wicketkeeper put the wicket down without the intervention of any other fielder, then you would be right. Because it was a no ball and because the striker was not attempting a run, if no other fielder was involved, if only the wicketkeeper put the wicket down on his own without the first slip fielder touching the ball, then the striker would be not out, run out. But because the first slip fielder was involved in the scenario, the striker is out, run out. Okay, law tells us that either batter is out, run out if at any time while the ball is in play, he or she is out of his or her ground and his or her wicket is fairly broken by either the action of a fielder or the ball rebounding off a fielder's person, even though no ball has been called and whether or not a run is being attempted. Okay, so the trick to this question was the first slip fielder's intervention. Okay. If the first slip fielder was not involved in this scenario, then the striker would be not out, run out, because then it would effectively be a stumping. And we all know that a striker cannot be out stumped off a no ball. But because the first slip fielder was involved in this run out appeal, then yes, the striker is out, run out. I hope you understand the difference between those two scenarios and why the striker is out, run out in this scenario, Nagendra.
Okay, thanks. So
good. Well done. Well done to everyone. That was quite a lot of questions, 14 questions, a lot of marks. You all answered them very well. Thank you for your input. Now I am going into the chat box to see what questions and comments have been posted while we were presenting. Well done to all of you for quiz question 37, clearly out obstructing the field. And Isanula also mentioned no run will count. Quiz question 39, definitely out stumped. even if the ball has hit the helmet of the wicketkeeper, they can still affect a stumping as long as they put the wicket down fairly with the striker out of his or her crease. 41.5, definitely an instance of deliberate deception by the wicketkeeper. So 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side and not out. Zaim asks a question about non-pitching dangerous deliveries. This normally happens during the night in T20 matches. The ball is wet, and with a fast bowler, the ball tends to slip out of the hand. The bowler bowls 2 unintentional full tosses above waist height. He's given a warning on the first one because it was directed at the striker. And on the second one, if it's also directed at the striker, should you suspend the bowler, Abdullah, or should you understand the situation and encourage more drying of hands and the ball with a towel? How do we deal with the ball slipping out of a bowler's hand because it's wet and being directed above waist height at the striker?
So, Tom, we received guidance from the ICC on this, just in terms of consistency applied across the board, from international level down to all the levels below. If you are going to start bringing umpires' interpretation in, it wasn't when it's intentional, when not intentional, ball slippery, ball not slippery, you're going to find inconsistency in the application. So because of that and because of getting consistency, throughout, it's unfortunate. Yes, the ball is wet. Yes, it was unintentional, but it was still directed at a batter, a full ball. The bowler was given a warning. This is the second time. Yes, it slipped. Yes, the ball was wet, but it was at the batter. So unfortunately, you will have to remove the bowler from the attack. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Tula. I must add that this did happen to me in a Varsity Cup match in 2016, where Northwest University bowler, there was a lot of dew. It was the evening game, and the ball was slipping out of his hand. And the guidance we received from the tournament umpires manager, Carl Herter, who is now an ICC umpire coach, and he is also head of the ICC Almanac Committee. He said that the fielding side need to request for a ball change from the umpires. The umpires will not voluntarily change a wet ball without a request from the fielding side. So Zaim, that would be the application as well in your matches. Maybe just inform the captains at the toss before the game that if they feel the ball has become too wet, then they must come to the umpires with the ball and say, umpies, we feel this ball is too wet. You can see it slipping out of our bowler's hands. Please, can we change it? And then it will be up to the umpires to decide if they feel the ball is wet enough to be changed. Okay. Next question is from Temi Tope. On the topic of deliberate front foot no ball, when a bowler is taken off for bowling a deliberate front foot, in the playing conditions, we will have a free hit for the next delivery. Can the field be changed because there is a new bowler bowling, or do we have to stick to the playing conditions that because it's the same striker on strike, then the field cannot be changed? Abdullah?
So, Tomitopi, we have to apply the playing condition. for T20 and 50 over cricket when it comes to no balls in for the free hit. So because it's the same striker, field will have to remain the same. So what will happen? Yes, the bowler will be suspended. Another bowler needs to complete this over, so they'll just do a straight swap. Whoever that bowler is replacing, let's say that bowler stood at third man boundary, and that bowler is now coming to complete the over. The suspended player will have to go to the third man boundary. But field needs to stay the same because the same striker is still facing. Over, Tom.
Thanks, Jula. The next three questions are from Neville and Isanula asking about full tosses directed at the striker and are above waist height. I've gone through all of that. And just to clarify, if there is a new bowler, a replacement bowler, that bowler will complete the over, yes, but they don't have warnings for bowling full tosses above waist height directed at the striker. So the warnings are specific to a bowler. We can talk about a concussion replacement. They will inherit the warnings of a concussed bowler being replaced, but this is not a scenario of a concussion replacement. This is a replacement bowler who is already in the first 11. They are not a concussion replacement. This is a bowler finishing the over. They do not inherit the warnings of the bowler who has been suspended from bowling after 2 full tosses directed at the striker. Okay. 41.7, all of you have given as a no ball. Well done. NSE says, if the umpire had already called a no ball before the ball struck the wicket, then the no ball would stand, unfortunately. If the umpire didn't call the no ball, then it is out bowled. Best practice, always delay a second before calling it. And is he quite correct? Especially if we have televised matches, the umpires are told not to call no ball. That is why in that scenario, Adrian Holstock did not call and signal no ball. It was referred to the television umpire, and it was clear on the replay that it was above waist height. And so the television umpire gave a no ball, and obviously the striker was not out. If it is a non-televised match, give yourself some time to think about it. But if you are 100% sure that it is above waist height, call and signal it as quickly as possible. Because also, the quicker your call, the more confidence you will be portraying, the more surety you will be portraying to the players that it is indeed a no ball. If you wait for too long, then the team will already be celebrating out bowled. But of course, you should stick to what you have seen and your decision. Even though you will call no ball after the ball has hit the stumps, it will be deemed to have been a no ball before it hit the stumps because it went past the striker standing upright at the crease before it hit the stumps. Okay, 41.5, you all got as deliberate deception. Well done. Abi mentions even if the call is made after the ball striking the wicket, no ball would still stand and the batter is not out. Correct. I think NSC was mentioning that if the umpire didn't call no ball at all, even after the batter had argued, then of course the striker is out bowled. But the correct decision, as we all saw on the replay, and it was almost clear as well in live footage that it was above waist height, so no ball. Isanula says, a third short pitch delivery in the over, umpire calls no ball and gives the bowler a warning. Then the bowler bowled a fourth short pitch delivery in the over, and again we called no ball, and we should have given a second and final warning at that stage. And then the fifth delivery is again a short pitch delivery called no ball. The bowler may be removed and a new bowler comes to complete the over. Now, Abdullah, the next delivery is another short pitched delivery by the replacement bowler. What do we do in this scenario, please? So we've already taken off the first bowler because he bowled five short pitched deliveries in an over. Only allowed two. The third one was a no ball. Fourth one was a no ball. And the final warning, fifth one off. Now the replacement bowler bowls another short pitch delivery in that over. What are our actions for that replacement bowler? Let's call that bowler the bowler who completes the suspended bowler's over.
So Tom, the replacement bowler doesn't inherit anything of the previous bowler. You mentioned earlier, only when it comes to concussion replacements, that's when it's in place. But the playing condition states only allowed, let's say this is ODI or 50 over game or a test match, where you are allowed, or most playing conditions only allow 2 bounces above shoulder height per over. So this being, so the first bowler already been taken off for bowling the third one. So now with this new bowler, yes, it will be his first one, but the playing condition states you only allow 2 per over. So this being another one, there's already been 2 allowed. So this being another one, you will have to call no ball in this instance. Good umpiring technique is, as soon as that bowler hands you the cap, I will tell that bowler, it's already 2 bowled in this over. I already took off a bowler for bowling more than 2. I'm just letting you know, if there's another bounce in this over, I'm going to call and signal no ball, because we've already exceeded the maximum of 2 short balls per over. So yes, Tom, another no ball.
Thanks, Tula. Louis Duplessis asks, do the penalty rounds count against the bowler's figures? So, Louis, no balls are considered penalty runs. Wides are considered penalty runs. Those 2 types of penalty runs go against the bowler's figures. However, 5 penalty runs being awarded to the batting side for illegal fielding or the ball hitting the helmet of the fielder that's placed behind the wicketkeeper, the 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side, those do not go against a bowler's figures. Only no balls and wides are debited to a bowler's figures. Excellent. I do not see any more hands in the meeting room. I do not see any more questions or comments in the chat box. So I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance and participation today. Our next lecture will be next week, Tuesday, the 23rd of June. Same time, same place, same Microsoft Teams meeting link. This lecture has been recorded and the recording will be posted on our YouTube channel by 11 a.m. South African time. Have a great week further. The Proteas are playing tomorrow at 6:30 against Pakistan, South African time. Bafana, the South African national football team, is playing against, I think, Czechia, 6 p.m. South African time on Thursday. That is why we're not having a lecture this Thursday. We will see you all next week, Tuesday. Thank you very much for your attendance and your interaction. Have a great day further. We'll see you next week. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, Tom and Abdullah. Good night. Take care.
Cheers.